What is caffeine? Caffeine is a natural drug found in the leaves and seeds of various plants, and it is the most popular drug in the world today.
What does caffeine do? It is a stimulant, which is also known as an upper. It increases the alertness and awareness for a short period of time. It blocks a chemical which makes you sleepy from getting to your brain so you feel awake. The effects last from 15 minutes after consumption to 6 hours. Your heart pumps faster, your breath quickens and stimulates your nervous system.
Examples of caffeine. Caffeine is not only found in coffee, but is also found in tea, soft drinks, energy drinks, and most surprisingly chocolate. But what happens if you have too much caffeine? You could experience jitters, restlessness and nervousness, an increased heartbeat, nausea, anxiety, insomnia, sweating, dizziness, vomiting, and possibly a heart attack. If you notice any of these issues, it is a sign to stop.
How much is too much? The average 10 to 12-year-old kid are recommended to a maximum of 85 milligrams of caffeine a day. What does that look like? 1 tall mocha from Starbucks, 2 cans of Coke, and 2/5 of a Gatorade bottle. Keep in mind that the more you weigh, the more caffeine you can consume every day.
Calming properties are at asapscience.com. With its stimulating effects, it's easy to understand why coffee is the second most traded commodity on Earth after oil. For many, it keeps us awake and moving through our busy days. But how does it work? What exactly does coffee do to your brain? Whenever you're awake, a chemical called adenosine slowly accumulates in your brain, and this adenosine binds to receptors which slow down brain activity. Ultimately, the more adenosine there is, the more tired your brain feels, which makes sense as the longer you're awake, the more fatigued you become. Conversely, while you sleep, the concentration of adenosine declines, gradually promoting wakefulness. But it turns out that the caffeine in your coffee is incredibly similar to adenosine in structure. The caffeine works its way through your bloodstream and into your brain, where it starts to compete and binds with adenosine receptors. But because it's not adenosine, the sleepiness effect isn't felt. Adenosine can no longer bind, meaning its calming properties are diminished, which is great for you when you're feeling tired. However, with long-term use of caffeine, your brain responds by creating more adenosine receptors, which means more caffeine is required to elicit the same response. It also means that when you try to quit drinking coffee or miss your daily intake, you might experience some withdrawal symptoms and feel more tired than you would have before you ever drank coffee. But the caffeine doesn't stop there. It also stimulates the production of adrenaline, you know, the fight or flight hormone. This increases your heart rate, gets your blood pumping, and even opens up your airways. Furthermore, it affects dopamine levels by preventing its reabsorption in the brain, which makes you feel happy. In fact, this is the exact same thing that cocaine does, just to a lesser degree. It's a drug after all. This dopamine stimulation is also the aspect of coffee that makes it moderately addictive. So, can you drink too much coffee? It turns out there is a lethal dose of caffeine, which is somewhere around 150 milligrams of caffeine per kilogram of your body. This means if you weigh 70 kilograms, you would require 14,000 milligrams of caffeine to overdose. Put into perspective, an average cup of coffee contains roughly 150 milligrams of caffeine, meaning if you're 70 kilograms, approximately 70 cups of coffee would kill you. However, you'd have to drink those cups all at once, making it effectively impossible to overdose on caffeine from coffee, since you wouldn't be able to physically fit that much in your stomach. You would also start experiencing mania and hallucinations before getting to this point. Caffeine also has a half-life of around 6 hours, so if you drank a standard coffee with around 150 milligrams of caffeine, after about 6 hours there'll only be 75 milligrams left in your system and you'll be feeling half of the effect, and 6 hours after that you'll have 37.5 milligrams, leaving more room for adenosine to jump back into action, which is why you may reach for another cup throughout the day to maintain that glorious, alert, and energetic feeling. So drink up and enjoy the buzz while it lasts. And for all of you in school, while we
Here are some facts and myths about caffeine. Fact number 1. Decaf does not necessarily mean no caffeine. This is true. Fact number 2. It usually takes about 30 to 60 minutes for caffeine to start kicking in. This is false. Fact number 3. Energy drinks don't contain more caffeine than coffee. This is true. And fact number 4, coffee beans aren't the only source of caffeine. This is also true.
There are 3 C's of addiction. How do I know if I'm addicted? Compulsion is being obsessed with caffeine, thinking about it all the time. Consequences: experiencing problems from caffeine and still not stopping. Control: when can't stop yourself from getting more caffeine.
In conclusion, caffeine is not the world's most dangerous drug, but it can harm young people if it is misused. Be careful around caffeine and take care of your own body.
For the last slide, there's credits with Tatiana doing the pictures, the editing, and the voiceover. Aisha doing pictures, editing, and voiceover. Athena doing editing and writing. David and Amelia putting ideas together, adding a video and editing. Thank you.